Welcome to Scorched Earth and the general reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of May 2025. I hope you're well. I'm using the Sufi Tarot for you today. Beautiful, this deck. Here it is. Right, before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that is accessible at the end. Link is in the description box for that. You're looking for the one that takes you to Selfie, or alternatively, you could come and join Circle, where you get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost, plus access to classes and all sorts of things. So if that sounds like it might be your thing, you know what to do with that link. Anything else to tell you? No, I don't think so. The feel of May is so fucking different. I can't even tell you to where we have been up until this point. And I had the weirdest image given to me while I was doing the meditation before I started your reading. I'll talk to you about that in a second. But I think for now, let's get some cards on the table. So because these cards are enormous, and even though I have, that's an octave plus one on the piano. Did you know that? Right. I used to play the piano back in my youth. Even though I have enormous hands, with long hands, I can't shuffle these the way that I would shuffle normal cards. So we're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to cut the deck here, and we're going to take your cards from the top. So recent past, we have the Son of Cups. There's Pisces. There you are. Current energy for Pisces. We have the Moon. Do you know what? That was the card that was in the middle of the deck when I cut it before to shuffle it while I was talking to you. I had a feeling that was going to come up. And we have the Ten of Swords showing up for what's coming towards you for the rest of May. I'm not concerned about that though. Let's have a look and see what's at the bottom. We have the Six of Cups here. I'm not concerned because it feels like more than the kind of death and destruction, image that we see here. It feels much more like the ending of a particular kind of mental processes that you've been having, right? There's a shift that's going on here, and I've seen it for some of the other signs. For some of them, it started in April. For others, I can see it coming in really, really strongly in May. Sometimes leaving behind particular kinds of thought processes, leaving behind past issues, possibly, because that's the Six of Cups there. Issues of the past is probably more accurate to put that. Sometimes that can feel quite confrontational because sometimes we're not aware of quite how much we've made past experiences part of our identity. So there's something kind of uncomfortable about leaving behind that aspect of self because we perceive a space. But as we know, when we make a space, something new rushes in. So let's get some clarifiers on the table, and then we'll talk about this a little bit more, because I've been seeing this upgrade progression going on for, like I said, a few of the signs now. Tell me about the Knight of Cups. We've got the Hanged Man, another Pisces card, on its side here. And we've got the Sun. Going to take that as a sideways thing as well. Tell me about the Moon. Why is that here? Wow. Gosh. Okay. I'm not going to take all of these, but I am going to show you so you're aware what there's. We've got the Seven of Swords, the Five of Swords, the Queen of Wands, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Devil all showing up together. Now, talking about the way that one's mind works, I mean, it seems like you've been almost trebucheted, Pisces, through a kind of uncomfortable awareness of the way that your mind works about a particular thing. It could be that you've become suddenly aware of how you've sabotaged yourself, although, is that really a thing? Not really, I don't think, at least anyway. It's certainly how odd thought processes that you've had that seem possibly to have been seated in some sort of trauma have been colouring your actions, colouring your interpretations of other people's actions It's been making you show up, I think, in a less powerful way than you could have done. And what we've got going on here between the Eight of Pentacles and the Devil is a sense that one's work has been, a level of it has been reached in the facing down of our own internal demons. Now, I'm going to put all of these cards back into the deck, but I just wanted to show you what they were, just in case. It's a tower that just flew there. Just in case they want to come out again. Give them an opportunity to do so. But tell me about the moon. Fuck me. There's the Six of Cups. Showing up again. So we've got the same card going on here twice. Tell me about the moon, please. Okay, Seven of Pentacles in reverse. Nine of Swords in reverse. This is, I'm telling you, this is why it doesn't feel bad. The Nine of Swords doesn't feel, the Ten of Swords doesn't feel bad to me. What about the Ten of Swords? Why is this here for Pisces, please? Yeah, boosh. Even those cards that just came out before that I put back into the deck, they're giving us a really big picture here of an accelerated movement. Oh, Pisces, this is wonderful. Fuck me, look at all those aces. Right. This is a really, really big month for you. And it's big in a very, very subtle way, because as the moon is telling us, like, everything that is happening for you that is significant is happening internally. And we might say, well, Pisces, that's always the way that it goes with me, right? But it's almost like an order of magnitude bigger than that. Now, if we skip to the end for a second, the Ten of Swords, it didn't feel bad right from the off. It didn't feel like a bad thing. It felt like a recognizing that a certain way of thinking, a certain way of being was now no longer in alignment with your highest self, and it was holding you back. And so there was going to be a release of that. But like I said, there seems to be a bit of discomfort around possibly an over-identification with something of the past. Whether it was trauma, or whether it was a way that you thought other people saw you, or the way that you thought you saw yourself. There is briefly a void there, right? You leave something behind, there's a gap. But look at all this energy that is rushing in immediately. Whatever discomfort you feel this month, if you feel any at all, it's transitory and it's very, very brief. Very, very brief, because it's being replaced almost instantaneously with something really powerful. Now, the fact that the Ace of Wands in there, I really, really like, because we saw the Queen of Wands, and the Queen of Wands seems, because for me, the Queens make sense of whatever suit they represent, right? They are the kind of deep thinking, feeling aspect of the suit, rather than the doing aspect of the suit, which would be the Kings. It feels like you've been reflecting on your actions, you've been reflecting on your motivations, you've been reflecting even, and here's where the meditation comes in, because this is really weird, on the level of visibility that you're comfortable with in doing whatever it is that you do and showing up authentically as a result of that. So the meditation showed me something which I can only describe as kind of like the Eye of Sauron. Right, if any of you are into Lord of the Rings and whatnot, except that it was a benevolent eye. It was not, kind of, an evil, right? Forget all of that sort of. It was a true benevolence. It felt really, really good, but it was an eye, and it was looking at everything. And I feel like there's a feeling here which is that you have been almost resistant to, in allowing people to see you as you actually are. Because this eye was looking at you. But the extrapolation that I took from that was increased visibility, which is something that we always talk about when the Queen of Wands shows up. It's like, how willing are you to be seen? And even since, the point where I sat down in this chair, I found, I did the meditation, but then I found my brain pinging around this idea that it's time to let your weird light shine, whatever that is and whatever that looks like for you, is to trust that it's time to start putting it out there. And it's almost like, if you can get over the fact that people's first reaction is probably going to be the one that you expect, which is, you're a space cadet, it's going to shift very, very quickly. Because the times that we're living in right now have this blanket of the North Node of Pisces over them right now, right? So everybody is looking, whether they realize it or not yet, that they're looking for something of the Piscean leadership to see them through this time. I think it's much easier for people to get on board with the energy of Virgo, which is where the South Node is right now. It's your opposite sign, because it's kind of tangible, right? And when we look at the shadow side of Virgo, we've got things like perfectionism. We've got self-criticism, right? Everybody's inner critic. Virgo's is next level. There's a resonance with Virgo that it's not too difficult for people to get on board with, right? They can see where that plays out in their life. The energy of Pisces is almost something that people don't think that they can connect with unless they have a bridge. Pisces, it's time to stand forward, because I think it's time for you to be the bridge. It's time for you to create the bridge. And I've spoken to enough Pisces, certainly since the North Node shifted into your sign, to know that the overwhelming majority of Pisces are entirely aware that there is some leadership kind of spotlight that is showing up on them. But it's one thing to intellectually be aware of something, or even to feel it on an intuitive level, because that's probably more correct for you, Pisces, right? It's a very different thing to start acting in that role, like with awareness of that role. Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put my whole self out there and all this sort of thing, right? Because the resistance to being seen, which is very, very strong in Pisces, right? A resistance to drawing attention to yourself too much. We've spoken before about how Pisces likes to be the glue that holds everything together, rather than being something that draws everybody's attention to them. I think the resistance to being seen is the thing that's getting the battering this month. And like I said, there may well be a bit of discomfort with it, but if you can do what you're very good at doing, which is accept this new situation, which is being, it seems to me, pushed up a level this month, then the resistance is the discomfort is very limited. It's the old saying, right? Pain is mandatory, suffering is optional. The question is, how much do you want to suffer before you accept this karmic turn that everybody experienced in April and start embracing what it is that you're here for, right? A lot of movement internally, but it's going to lead to a lot of changes externally, I would imagine, by the end of May. Now, we've got Saturn moving into Aries, so leaving your sign. I think it's around about the 25th of May, which is going to mark a very different feeling around reality. Because no disrespect, Pisces, but like Saturn being in your sign's made everything surreal as fuck. I think Neptune being in your sign also did that too. But one of the benefits of Saturn going through the sign of Pisces is that the breaking down, the dissolution, the washing away of old limitations, and almost like a reorienting towards what is the dream and how can we give it some kind of structure and reality. Well, that whole process that's been going on for like 2.5, 3 years is now about to see its inception in the sign of Aries. So the pressure's getting lifted a little bit, because you're not having to keep dissolving stuff, dissolving. This is probably the last point where that kind of dissolution is happening. And instead what we're getting is a replacement with initiation, creativity. I mean, you're an incredibly creative sign. And I'm quite excited to see what it is that you bring to the world when you give yourself permission to do it. You'll know I've got a Pisces daughter, and she's the most incredible fucking artist. Incredible. But for years, she's never shown anyone her art, right? Just never. Every now and again, and I'm talking about maybe every 7 or 8 months, she will send me a screenshot of something that she's been working on, and I'm like, oh my goodness, she's so talented, she's so clever. But desperate not to be seen. In the last couple of weeks, she started taking commissions. And I can't tell you how fucking proud I am of her, because the leap from this is a thing that I do and it's a thing that I need, right? This is my processing of my spirituality, which it is for her, right? She processes her spirituality and her understanding of the world through her art. To take that leap from, but this is mine and nobody's allowed to see it except maybe my mum every 7 to 8 months, to I'm going to take commissions, I'm going to design something to somebody's, create something to someone's spec, and then put it out there. On some level or another, and I would imagine for most Pisces it's actually going to be, an order of magnitude bigger than this. I say she's only 17, we'll give her time, right? You're going to be going through the same thing. Whatever is your process, and what has been, deeply your process that you have not shared with other people, I feel like you're going to understand that it is time to allow it to be seen. It's time to start creating the Piscean bridge, so that people, if they are ready for it, can start walking towards it, because they're going to see the light. They're going to be attracted to the light. We see the Hanged Man on its side here, and we see the Sun on its side too. Now, the Sun's an incredibly positive card. Actually, whether it's reversed or upright, it's still incredibly positive. But it is about conscious awareness, and it is about visibility and vulnerability. And, we've got a little naked little boy there. It's like exposing every part of yourself. Within reason. Don't go around flashing people, Pisces, right? That's not cool. We're not talking about that. It feels to me like it's sitting here because it's something that is coming, but you're not quite ready for it yet, right? We've got the Hanged Man on its side here, which, like I said, is your card. It's a card of Pisces, and it talks about surrender and submission, but it also talks about higher levels of acceptance, but higher what is the word that I'm looking for? States of illumination, right? In both of their own ways, these two cards talk about illumination. But first we've got it hitting the head up here, being processed, and allowing this to kind of shape your understanding of what you are and why you're here and all that sort of thing. But then eventually coming out from the head to the sky, increased visibility. What we're talking here is you're not quite ready. You haven't been quite ready to accept this role yet. You understand your role, you understand your duty, haven't been quite ready to accept it. And when we come to your current energy, we have the moon. Absolutely stunning moon. Look at that. It's beautiful. But we've got the Six of Cups, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Nine of Swords. These two cards being reversed. Now, we've got double Six of Cups on the table, which means that the past is really, really important in terms of what is happening here. But it feels like there's a reshaping, there's a realignment going on within the subconscious that is saying previously where it was unsafe to show yourself fully as you were, unsafe for everybody to let everybody see who you are and the way that you do things and the way that you process spirituality and all these kind of things. Part of what has been that Seven of Swords and Five of Swords for you is the feeling that people would reject you if you let your weird light shine, right? And I would imagine for most of you that this is something that showed up from childhood, right? This is some sort of, you're too sensitive, Why are you like this? Why are you a bit weird? Why do you do this? Why do you do the other? Right? Why don't you just fit in with everybody else? And subconsciously you adjusted to the recommendation that perhaps that's what you should do. Now, because your subconscious has been being restructured, it's like you're coming up against the final hurdle, the final limitations that stopped you from saying, here is me, this is what I'm about, this is what I'm going to do. You know, I would imagine for most of you, you have some sort of abilities, latent or otherwise, right, that just sit there, they are just with you, right? So whether it's incredible empath ability, well, we know that this is something that kind of comes along with the Piscean archetype, right? Whether it is your ability to be able to commune with other types of consciousness, whether it's nature, animals, or something that sits beyond that, right? Whether it is simply the way that you can hold faith within yourself, or even process the emotions of everything around you. Right? I've described Pisces as a cosmic washing machine before. Right? These are things that have been so internally yours that I've seen a lot of Pisces be really shocked when I talk to you, because I'm like, I can see that part of you. And every month in the comments from Pisces, I get like you understand Pisces more than anybody else does. And I'm like, well, I've got my own little high priestess to thank for that, I think. It's there. It can be seen. It can be perceived if you've eyes to see it. But it's not something that you've broadcast. It's not something that you've put out there. And I think that stems from childhood. So the energies of the moment, the level of the collective unconscious of the moment, is saying we need leaders. We need people who can help us navigate this Pisces energy. And literally there isn't going to be anybody who's going to do it as well as you are. Now, in order for that to happen, Pisces, you have to allow yourself to step forward and be seen. Like, truly be seen. Not just by those who have eyes to see, but everybody else in between. Right? To those who couldn't possibly see if you kind of smushed it into their face. But at the same time, like, this giant eye felt like a divine spotlight that's being put on you. And with that, felt like an increase in whatever abilities you do have. That you have to allow out. That's the long and short of it. You've got to allow them out. Now, you don't have to do anything, Pisces. You can continue living, a very vibrant internal existence and not share any aspect of that outside of yourself. But I do think that it is part of your karmic work. It is part of why you are here, right? It's to help people move beyond this current paradigm, which is breaking down, into the new one, right? Having people have enough information at their disposal that they are able to contribute creatively to the creation rather than resisting the breakdown which is going on, right? And so Pisces, as that final sign in the zodiac, is able to straddle both worlds. And I think you have straddled both worlds for a long time, but you've never let anybody see the extent to which you do it. And this is what is changing. Because this awareness of self, the awareness of the fear of being seen, truly, it's almost like a movement away from the curated version of Pisces that you've allowed to be your expression of straddling this plane. Like being everything to people that they need you to be in the moment, right? Which is something that Pisces does very, very well. And this is why you make a good glue to hold people together, right? And I've always been struck by how how the group vibe is more important to Pisces than individual things. Individual kind of like, I want to eat at this place, or I want to go do this thing. The Pisces are like, I don't care, as long as everybody's happy, like that's the only thing that I need. Now, that's legitimate. I want to make sure, like, that's not a front. That's not something that you've curated for public consumption. But the curated version of you is the one that is quiet and not asserting yourself over stuff. And I think that assertion is going to start coming in. And in the first instance, it comes in by way of you going, by the way, did you know I can talk to dead people? Or did you know I can see your dog that passed over? Like, he follows you around all the time. Did you know that I get intuitive hits about things that I have no fucking business knowing about, but I do know about them? Did you know that I can read tarot cards? Did you know that I can do this, that, and the other? It's almost like not hiding it anymore, Pisces. Because like I said, people are looking for leaders. They're looking for guides, they're looking for teachers, they're looking for people who can help them navigate a realm that doesn't make any fucking sense to them. They're looking for ways to quit hyper-focusing on the things that don't fucking matter and find something much, much bigger than that. Some of them are looking for purpose, for sure, but some of them are just trying to fucking swim and they're drowning. They need you, Pisces. And the last thing that's been standing in the way of you kind of coming to meet your destiny is what you were thinking about it. In terms of the barriers that you put up. So the Ten of Swords, which felt fucking brilliant to me, as soon as I turned the card over, I was like, oh, amazing, is an end to a particular conscious restriction of what makes you you, being out there in the world. The barriers are coming down. The ways in which you might have felt like you were leaving yourself wide open are coming down. And what's rushing in immediately? Ace of Wands, Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords. Like, if you felt like your power is starting to grow and you don't, maybe for some of you, you don't even know quite how to control that. Sorry, I've just noticed that I was frozen. Let's just flip to that there. If you're starting to feel that about yourself, and I think that a lot of you are, because we've got that Two of Swords there, don't know where this is going, don't know what this is about. But for me, this card mostly talks about you not knowing what you don't know. You have to create the space. You have to open up to allow the things that you don't know to be made obvious to you. Like I said, there might be a momentary discomfort, but Pisces, I think it is literally momentary. Because the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Cups talk about new opportunities. They talk about an increased, far more beneficial relationship with yourself, and therefore by extension relationship with God, Source, Creator, Universe, however you want to call it for yourself, right? Because your subconscious is the way by which you communicate with those bodies, with those entities, right? But the Ace of Wands is saying you can be creative, you can do things differently, you can do everything differently, actually, if you just love yourself enough to allow these things to happen. If you can trust enough that whatever's going to be coming out of you in the following years is actually of critical fucking importance to humanity as a whole. We've got a total restructuring of your mental space going on when you stop restricting yourself or restricting how much people can see of yourself. You feel like you're being bodily shoved up to the next level, Pisces, and the only thing that you really need to do is just allow it to happen and accept that there's going to be an increase in visibility for you with that. Wow. All right. I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to go over to the extended now. You're very welcome to join me if you would like to do so. We're going to look a little more deeply into this. Should we just pull an oracle card just for shits and giggles? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Why not? Let's have a look. See what it has to say. Treasure. Yeah, man. Your truffles, Pisces, they need to be for public consumption because they are a treasure, right? This is not a curse that you've had to learn to deal with over, however many decades you've been alive. Although at times it may have felt like that. This is indeed a treasure now that is yours to share at a time where it is so deeply fucking needed. This is absolutely outstanding. Right, I am going to the extended. You can join me on Selfie, you can join me on Circle, anywhere you like. I'd be delighted to see you in either place. If that's not your bag, that's absolutely fine. I really don't feel like you have anything to lose, Pisces, in letting that weird light shine, right? Letting your crescent moon appear above your head. Because people need it. They really do need it. I feel like any of you could set up a class in some sort of spiritual modality and you'd get booked out immediately because people need what you've got. They'll never do it like a Pisces, right? But you can certainly help them along the way. Build the bridge. All right. Gonna leave it there. Sorry about this camera business. Fucking overheating and shit. Just breathe through it. All will be fine. Right. Know that I love you all very, very much. And I'll see you soon.